Welcome back, one and all, and thank you for joining me today. As always, I am Daniel Blake, and what would a role-playing game be without side quests? These little nuggets of adventures are sometimes as good, if not even better, than the main storyline. A prime example of this would be Skyrim, where I would argue that fighting Alduin pales in comparison to becoming the listener of the Dark Brotherhood, the leader of the Thieves Guild, or the Archmage of the College of Winterhold. One series that's no stranger to side quests is my favorite gaming franchise of all time, The Legend of Zelda. Now, when most people hear Zelda side quests, they're going to immediately think of Breath of the Wild or its sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, and for good reason. These massive open worlds are just filled to the brim with NPCs trying to push all of their responsibilities onto Link at every turn. I would argue that side quests are just as valuable to the Legend of Zelda series as its other key components, such as puzzle-based temples or breaking pots open for rupees, and this has been the case stretching all the way back to the very first game in 1986. While many of Zelda's side quests are simply collection-based, such as the now infamous Pieces of Heart, which has existed in almost every single game in the series, there are some truly memorable and iconic ones out there, such as the melancholically beautiful Unju and Kefei quest in Majora's Mask. But for everything Nintendo gets right with their flagship series, they are definitely not perfect. Many would point to collecting all of the Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild as being the worst side quest in Zelda history because your reward is quite literally just a pile of Don't get me wrong, collecting all the Korok seeds is certainly no easy feat and is very arduous, but at least your rewards of extending your inventory is immensely helpful when traversing the wilds of Hyrule. You know, it pains me to say, but actually the worst side quest in Legend of Zelda history has to go to my favorite game ever made, Ocarina of Time. After Link meets Zelda and agrees to gather all 3 spiritual stones to stop Ganondorf's plot to conquer Hyrule, the hero finds himself in Kakariko Village, a quaint town at the base of Death Mountain. After entering an unsuspecting residence, text appears on the screen reading House of Skulltula before human-spider hybrids drop from the ceiling. Unlike regular Skulltulas, these individuals, while monstrous in appearance, are human and willing to talk to Link. If you speak to the patriarch of these creatures, he will reveal that his entire family has been cursed to this form because of his greed, and if you manage to defeat and collect tokens dropped by the 100 gold Skulltulas scattered across Hyrule, he will reward Link handsomely. At first, this doesn't seem like too bad of a deal, as you've probably already defeated some of these unique enemies up to this point anyways. Oh, how wrong you are! Now, if you're thinking to yourself, I'm tenacious, I've made it to the 101% of Donkey Kong 64 and lived to tell the tale, I can handle it. Just wait. While defeating 100 gold Skulltulas seems very reasonable in comparison to the 900 Korok seeds, this does not mean finding them will be simple. First, this task stretches both into the child and adult timelines, meaning it will take place across the entire runtime to find them all, and a ton of backtracking once new equipment is gathered. Second, the sheer number of possible locations they could be is staggering, including under destructible rocks, inside dungeons, in dirt mounds requiring a jar of bugs to discover for some reason, and anywhere else in the open world. To make matters worse, there is absolutely no navigation or hints in-game as to where they may be, with the only assistance coming from a scratching noise they make. Lastly, they only come out at night in the open world, which makes their discovery even more difficult unless you've learned the Sun Song from the graveyard. So let's say even after knowing all of this, you're still willing to put in the work and hunt down those debonair arachnids, because, I mean, hey, after all, the family was allegedly rich, so the reward should be worth it, right? Right? What if I were to tell you that all of these gifts you'll get for defeating the gold Skulltulas, while seeming decent on the surface, are nothing more than utter garbage? Let's break it down. There are 6 reward milestones to achieve with the Skulltula family, which are as follows. 10 gets you the adult wallet upgrade, 20 grants the stone or shard of agony depending on the version of the game you're playing, 30 grants the giant's wallet upgrade, 40 gets you some bomb shoes, 50 grants a piece of heart, and finally all 100 gives you a huge rupee valued at 200. Again, these don't seem too bad at first, but you will soon realize how awful they really are. Starting with the most useful, The Piece of Heart does heal you and goes towards increasing Link's max health, but ultimately, requiring 50 gold Skulltula tokens feels excessive for something that goes towards completing another item collection quest. Next, the Stoner Shard of Agony is kinda neat because it can help inform you where secrets are hidden throughout Hyrule, such as holes in the ground leading to chests or fairy fountains. However, this item falls short because its zone of effectiveness is tiny, so you'd basically have to be on top of the secret for the item to activate. On top of that, the only assistance it provides is either a ping or vibration notifying you, so it's not even like it marks the location on the map or anything, making its usefulness pretty questionable. The Bomb Shoe is a really cool but ultimately obsolete item in the vast majority of encounters within Ocarina of Time. The self-propelling explosive is fairly difficult to aim and is easily outclassed at ranged combat by other items such as the bow or boomerang. The only time most will utilize the Bomb Shoe is during puzzles that require them, or during that damn target minigame that still sends me into a rage. Wallet upgrades are usually super useful in any video game because money is usually incredibly important for buying consumable items or upgrades to your equipment. The problem with increasing wallet capacity in Ocarina of Time is twofold. First, because of the incredible frequency of item drops in the game, you're almost never needing to purchase consumables. I don't know who's been leaving bombs and arrows in the shrubbery of Hyrule Field, but they're ensuring I'll never have to step foot in a store again. Also, the important items that can be purchased are always available in other ways. Let's take the Zora's Tunic for example. You could use Blue Fire to thaw out the store in Zora's Domain to purchase the clothing, or use that same Blue Fire to save King Zora and receive it for free. So unless a like eats your equipment, you're basically never needing to buy them. The final and worst reward for spending hours of time and collecting all 100 gold Skulltulas is a measly 200 rupees. While I will say it is fitting story-wise for a wealthy man to give you money as a reward, that's where any appreciation ends. At this point, Link has traversed every corner of Hyrule and has basically zero use for rupees. It feels somehow worse than Hestu's gift because at least that was a funny token of completion, where 200 rupees is just insulting and pointless. The last reason I wanted to bring up of why I really hate this quest is the people that you're doing it for. As mentioned, even though they currently are living in a rundown house as spider people, the family used to be immensely wealthy. Both the family patriarch and Professor Shikashi confirm this, with the latter stating, "Folks around here tell of a fabulously rich family that once lived in one of the houses in the village, but they say that the entire family was cursed due to their greed. Who knows what might happen to those who are consumed by greed." This quote is incredibly revealing about who the family was before their transformation. As mentioned, Kakariko Village is small and unassuming, with most of its denizens being blue-collar workers such as carpenters, farmers, or shopkeepers. In short, there doesn't seem to be an abundance of wealth to speak of, so how did this particular family make their fortune? From the professor's words, we know that they have lived in the town for a long time, possibly dating back to its founding by the Sheikah tribe. It seems possible to me that they were either Sheikah themselves or Hylians that possessed a lot of land in Kakariko during the events of the Hyrulean Civil War prior to the game. My theory is that this family took advantage of the war and extorted its refugees that wanted to take shelter in the village, charging them for protection. This would fit with the timeline and be an act of unforgivable greed and a fitting crime worthy of a curse like the Golden Skulltula, the family now needing to rely on someone else to slay a spider for each person they extorted. Now, I could be and probably am 100% off the mark here, but one thing is for certain, there is a big difference between being wealthy and greedy, so I think the wording by Professor Shikashi here is really important to understanding the context of who they were. Regardless of what they did to receive the curse, one thing is for certain, they were definitely not generous people, which makes this side quest not only very frustrating, but also morally questionable. I love Ocarina of Time and I beat it almost every year, but one thing I have never completed is collecting all 100 of those Golden Skulltula tokens because frankly, it just feels like a waste of my time. But that's all that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to know what your least favorite side quest is, and it doesn't even have to be from Legend of Zelda, just in general, because, man, there are some real stinkers out there, and I am always down to learn more. If you haven't yet, leaving a like and subscribe on this video would be fabulous. It doesn't cost you a dime, and it does everything for me in terms of helping the channel, and I am always appreciative of that. And if you're feeling extra generous, I do have a Patreon in my bio, but hey, no pressure on that at all. Any love you're willing to give, I'm all too happy to receive. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have just the most wonderful day. Deuces!